Afternoon drive, as we always say, driven by Mountain View Nissan of Cleveland. We're very excited to have some guests in our studio this afternoon. So that means not only are we live on the radio right now, we're also live on mixtv.tv. At the top of the hour, we were telling you a busy weekend for us here in our community. Some very special things going on. And one of the things that will happen on Saturday at the Greenway Park, we're so proud to make sure that we're going to be there covering this event for our community. It's the Walk to End Alzheimer's, and we've got some people that's going to be a part of that from the Alzheimer's Association, and they're going to tell us more about this event. We're going to be there again on Saturday covering that. I'm going to be there doing some special things, and we're going to invite the community to come out and support ALZ and the cause that they're doing there. We got a couple of guests that's with us today. Darius Moore is with us. There he is. And then Maggie Hooper is with us as well. We'll start off. Darius, let's start off with you, sir, since you're to my right. Just kind of tell us a bit about yourself and why this walk is so important to you, and a little bit of information, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us on here. Again, my name is Darius Moore. I am the VP of Development for the Alzheimer's Association of Tennessee. And so in my role, I get to serve communities all across the state, from rural West Tennessee to rural East Tennessee. And I serve a total of 10 different communities through our walks. That's Memphis, Jackson, Clarksville, Tullahoma and Lynchburg, Rutherford County, Nashville, Chattanooga, Cleveland, Tri-Cities, and Knoxville. So in my role, essentially what I do is I support all of the walk managers. And so I have the privilege of working with Alexis Hughes, who is the walk manager for here in Cleveland and Chattanooga. She is phenomenal. So if you haven't connected with Alexis Hughes, please do so as soon as possible, and as well as the committee. And so I get a chance to drive attention, drive support, drive business support to all the walks across the state. And so the Walk to End Alzheimer's, for all intents and purposes, is one of our biggest fundraisers, but it's the entryway into working with the association. And so I'm able to go out and promote the walk and tell people about all of the resources that are available to those that have been affected by Alzheimer's and their loved ones as well, Alzheimer's and other dementias.
All right, so let's meet Maggie Hooper once again. Maggie, tell us a bit about your involvement here and why this is important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, I'm Maggie Hooper. I'm a Cleveland resident. I'm a volunteer. I'm on the committee. I'm also helping with community education and with Alzheimer's Association and some advocacy work as well.
Okay.
When I like to talk about the walk, I say I walk for Connie, for Helen, for Doris, for Jerry, for Pat, for Mary, and for Bob.
Wow.
That's why I walk.
That's a pretty long list there. Is those family, friends, or just community friends?
A lot of family, some friends, and that list isn't getting shorter.
Right, it's not. So this walk's very important. It helps with the research and everything that goes on to try to cure ALZ. And it's one of the things that a lot of families have been affected by this. But let's face it. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. Darius, you kind of correct me if I'm wrong. This is a disease. Sometimes it doesn't get all of the lights. Some other things do, and you see a lot of publicity about them a lot nationally. But ALZ is one of those things that we know it's there.
For sure.
Affects a lot of families, as Maggie just mentioned there. But it's one of those things that we need to rally together. And this disease is such, I mean, it just tears people apart in the sense of their emotion. It takes away things from people that is our most prized possession, which is our memories of our families and our lives. So would you like to comment on that?
Absolutely, and that's spot on. And what I would say is that if you haven't been affected by Alzheimer's or any other dementia, because Alzheimer's is a dementia, and so anything that's going to be in that dementia space, if you haven't been affected by it or someone that you know has been affected by it, you will, because it's almost an inevitability, because it's one of the few diseases and disorders that we don't have a cure for. I think about like cancer and some of the other more prevalent ones you talked about, the ones that get talked about a lot more. In a lot of communities, they get it. This is pegged as old-timers, and it's not old-timers, it's Alzheimer's, and it doesn't just affect people that are elderly. It affects people that are in their 50s now. And so the beauty of the space that we're in now is no longer is it just a wait and see process till those folks who have been affected by Alzheimer's and other dementias to die. It's now we're in a space that you actually get a chance to spend time with that loved one and spend more quality time where they're present. One of my teammates, her mother has been suffering from Alzheimer's, and the doctor, the way he presented it is, we live on a blue planet, and people that are suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia live on the purple planet. And so we're moving about our daily lives and doing the things that we are used to and we're comfortable with, and they're in a totally different world, and it's hard for us to understand where they are. But luckily, we have a support system with the Alzheimer's Association that supports all of those people that are being directly affected by it, whether it be those folks that have it or the caregivers that give it. And I to support those people, and I say it's over 120,000 people in the state of Tennessee alone suffer from Alzheimer's. And so you talked about it not being talked about, but it's very prevalent. And there's even more people than that haven't been diagnosed or who are avoiding it. And I know there's a bit of a stigma sometimes, especially here, I'm from rural West Tennessee, from Jackson, Tennessee. Shout out to Jackson, Tennessee, 731, JCM alum. I see it more often than not is that there's a stigma attached to it where people don't want to go to the doctor and don't want to actually find out. Right. And so you just move on and you say, oh, I just had a couple memory issues,
getting older,
little hiccups. But the problem is that it's not people that are just getting old. They're not just you can just write off. Yeah. These are people who are actually being affected by it, who can actually be treated and be supported, and you can actually have more quality time with that loved one. And I think the stat I gave you was 120,000 people who have who have Alzheimer's. There's 362,000 caregivers that support them all across the state of Tennessee. Wow. So just think about that. Like that's a 1 to 3 ratio. One for every one Alzheimer's person, a person suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia, there's 3 caregivers that are supporting them. And that's a huge number. And those people, a lot of people who are those caregivers are walking around thinking that they're by themselves. And we at the Alzheimer's Association and with the committee and the folks that are involved in the community, we hope to change that narrative.
Again, we're speaking with our friends here today, Darius Moore and Maggie Hooper. We've got a chance to make a difference this weekend in our community with the Walk to End Alzheimer's, and we hope that that people will come out and be a part of this in any way that you can, whether it's just coming out supporting the walk in any way that you can do that, and just being there to cheer them on and make sure that people are aware of this, to being an advocate like it sounds like Maggie is for the community. It's one of those things we just need to get out and make sure that we're supporting this. Maggie, what do you feel like that as a community that we need to know? I mean, what is something that you think that if you're talking to someone that's kind of outside your bubble, you mentioned several names, what would you say to them when you first began that conversation?
I would heavily encourage anyone to go to alz.org or call our number at 1-800-272-3900 at any time. There are an incredible amount of resources out there free. Free education, free support groups, how to communicate with someone with dementia, how to handle tough conversations. There's just so much available, and we really want everyone in the community to know what we have available for us.
Darius, I'm going to come back to you. We were mentioning Alzheimer's and then also dementia, different dementias. Can you kind of break that down? Because a lot of people, as we said, don't really understand. I mean, it don't have to be the medical situation, but just kind of the differentiate between the two.
So with Alzheimer's, it's specifically around a type of plaque that's in the brains of people who suffer from it. Dementia, Alzheimer's is a variation of dementia, and so there's a variation of different dementias such as prefrontal cortex dementia, and so the severity of those dementias, and I'm not a doctor, let me put that out there.
You did play one on you did say Holiday Inn Express.
Yes, very much so, very much so. and so it basically is the difference is that it affects the cognitive abilities differently, and the severity of it. Alzheimer's is the one that's the most prevalent because that's the one that's getting a lot more, that's gotten a lot more research over the years. But dementia affects people just as different types of dementia affects people just as much, and so it may be a slower cognitive regression. So they may actually be able to still kind of come to themselves every now and then, but then they may be lost. And unfortunately, I have a family member, or uncle, who's experiencing that now, and it's really troubling to see. He's experiencing a version of dementia as opposed to Alzheimer's, where in regular conversation he seems like himself and everything is fine, but there's moments where he slips mentally and he doesn't know where he is, and he loses track of what the conversation is.
Right.
And people who suffer with different types of dementia sometimes have that more so than a complete loss of their cognitive abilities, and it affects them at a much younger age. And a lot of it deals with just the chemistry of the brain, how it affects the brain when we talk about Alzheimer's versus different types of dementias.
A very good explanation, Darius. You could be a doctor, by the way, the way you put that out there. So you mentioned some of the telltale signs, kind of some of the things that people can maybe, that's listening this afternoon or watching on Mixed TV, that like they may be thinking now, you know what, my Aunt Sally has kind of been showing a little bit of that, but we just kind of dismiss it, because like you said a while ago.
Don't do that. Don't dismiss it.
Don't dismiss it. Get aggressive, and when I say aggressive, in the sense of starting to have the conversations, the tough conversations.
Absolutely.
And saying, hey, look, I don't know if you recognize this, but whatever. But and maybe it's time to rally the troops, the family.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think probably during a time like this, it needs to be a family to say, am I the only one noticing this, or have you guys, in your contact with this individual, have you kind of noticed a little bit of change or drop off in memories and things like that, and different things in conversation? So it is that's what I love about these type conversations, because it gives people a platform to go home and begin those conversations.
Yes.
It's hard just to sit down at the kitchen table or be at a family event and just bring this up out of the blue.
For sure.
But when you're in a conversation like what we're going through today, you could go and say, you know what, I was listening to something on the radio the other day.
Yes.
This came up, I thought of you. So you've opened up the dialogue to where it's just not a jump-on type situation.
For sure.
And so I always love these type conversations. Now that we've kind of laid foundation, we kind of know what we're looking at and what we're talking about here. What is next? What do we need to do as a community this Saturday? Well, Maggie and Darius, I'm going to give you both an opportunity to answer. What do we need to do?
First thing is, if you got a smartphone or you're on a computer or anything that's connected to internet, I would go online to alz.org/walk, register, get on there, because something I said earlier, the Walk to End Alzheimer's is the entryway. It's the gateway to being associated and connected to the Alzheimer's Association at large and all of the resources. So start by going online, and not only registering for the walk, but go online and see where those resources exist. Because if you have that family member, that Aunt Susie, I think you said.
Yeah, Aunt Sally. Whatever.
Sally Mae Susie.
Yeah.
And so if you have that aunt who you say, or even it's a mother or a parent or even a sibling, if you're a little bit older, hey, take that time to say, hey, let's go online and find out if there's anything that's really going on.
Right.
And then more than anything, more importantly, go to the doctor. I can't underscore that enough, because yes, the Alzheimer's Association and the walk is what we're talking about, but going to the doctor will address a lot of this stuff and give people a lot more time with their loved ones. So first and foremost, go online, alz.org /walk, WALK, and register for the Walk to End Alzheimer's coming up this weekend. Take your loved one to the doctor. If you see them experiencing some things, if you feel like you're dealing with some stuff, or you see somebody that's dealing with some stuff that memory-wise, you feel like they're slipping, address it. Don't push it off to the side. Don't wait too late till you don't have time to spend with your loved one. And then more than anything, connect with us locally. Alexis Hughes, that's ahughes@alz.org. She's a great person to connect to here locally in Cleveland and the Chattanooga market to help you get connected to any resources. And then I'll let Maggie reiterate that 1-800 number once again.
Yes, that 1-800 number is 1-800-272-3900, and there is a master master's level or higher clinician answering the phone calls, and that is
Okay.
24/7.
24/7. So for those people who are struggling, caregivers specifically, this is a wonderful resource that's available to them 24/7, anytime they need it. You're not by yourself.
Maggie, we're looking for individuals, we're looking for businesses, we're looking for families to come out together. We're looking for everyone to come out and participate this at the walk on Saturday. Because, you know, whether you're coming to bring a large amount or maybe just make a donation while you're there, because you can do that.
For sure.
If you're there just supporting and rallying around these people that have really went out and worked hard, and you're like, you know what, I think I just want to make a donation while I'm here, that will be something they can do. I believe they're going to be able to get out and text a donation. We usually have that information available at the walk, so you can get out and be a part of that. But Maggie, what else, you know, I'm sure when you guys are preparing to come in, there's probably something, I want to make sure that I say this. Is there anything else that comes to your mind?
I want to make sure that I tell you that you did such a great job last year as our
okay.
MC,
Well,
and
thanks.
we can't wait to have you
sure.
again on Saturday.
Well, we'll do our best. You know,
yeah.
we'll keep going through there and try to do everything we can. It's such an important thing that I don't want to take it too lightly. We know this is an event to bring awareness, to raise funds, but it's also a time as we get all of these caregivers and people together, just to kind of like what Darius, you said a while ago, you're not alone. There's other people experiencing these same things, and it does seem like one of those diseases that you feel isolated because you're at home. I have had a family member that experienced this a few years back. And she always said, when I'm with my mom, I always feel like, you know, it's just us. Nobody can understand what we're going through because I'm taking care of her, and it's just us sitting there. And so I'm sure just to get together with people that's going through similar circumstances, maybe gather some knowledge that may help you with your daily walk with someone that's going through Alzheimer's and those type things. And I think that's very important as well, that people can know that there's not only what we've been talking about, but just a network of people here that can help out as well.
For sure. It's a community more than anything.
Right. All right. So, again, that's all coming up on Saturday at Greenway Park, Raider Drive. Darius, tell us what else the starting time, we need to be there.
Sure.
All those kind of things.
Yeah, so registration starts at 8. So get there as early as you possibly can. We'll probably be there at the crack of dawn, but get there at 8. So registration starts at 8, and so we'll go through a ceremony. We'll go through and Mr. Dwayne will lead that, where not only will we talk about those who have been affected by the caregivers, but also everybody there that support. So you'll see me there in orange socks. It's my unspoken tradition. I don't think my team knows that I've been doing this, but at all of the walks, I wear orange socks, and that represents the orange flower, which represents anybody that's supporting folks that have been affected by and who are caregivers of people who are affected by Alzheimer's and other dementia. And you'll learn more about the other flower colors. And I don't know if y'all can see on my
yeah, it's
camera.
purple there.
So it's purple. Purple is the Alzheimer's colors, but there's other colors here, rainbow colors. There's yellow, there's blue, there's orange, and there's white, and so and the purple as well. And so those flowers have very specific meanings, and you'll learn more about those. But definitely wanted to make sure I highlighted that because that's a big part of the ceremony is the Promise Garden, and it basically represents anybody that's associated with this, whether they're supporting people who are dealing with it, they're caregivers, or they're actual people who are suffering from it. And ultimately, there'll be one flower that's very unique that hasn't really been that doesn't really represent a population yet. That's the white flower, and that represents a cure. And that's ultimately what all of this is for.
Absolutely.
And that's why there's the hashtag #EndAlz. So on all your social medias, please tag us #EndAlz. That's what we're trying to do. We're luckily in the era of treatment. There's medicine to actually slow the progression of it. Leukemia for some folks who are aware of it, but we ultimately want to find a cure.
All right. This is great information. We want people to come out and support this. Maggie, anything else before we go that you would like to add?
I'm just happy to be here, and I hope to see everyone on Saturday morning.
I will add before I jump in, I would be remiss as a development guy if I didn't. So we are tracking towards a goal, and our goal for Cleveland alone is $55,000. And so I think we're roughly at maybe 25, 30,000, and we're raising money throughout the rest of the year. So anybody who can help support that, whether you're donating $10 or a company that's donating 10 grand, we would love that support, because our goal and our number is not just a number. It represents hopefully ultimately a cure, because the money is going towards research and supporting those families that are suffering from it. So we want everybody to be a part of. That's an accountability thing for me, is making sure people know that this is what my goal is, this is what our team's goal is to reach this number. And so we're a little ways away, but we still have time. And so please, by all means, get plugged in and let us know if you're interested in supporting our cause.
Again, we appreciate our friends here from the Alzheimer's Association of Chattanooga being here in the Cleveland area. The walk is coming up on Saturday at Greenway Park. Raider Drive, come out, support, and just be a part of what's going on in our community, because what we're talking about, Alzheimer's or talking about other dementias, this is something that if it hasn't affected your life yet, as Darius mentioned, most likely it is at some point, whether it's a work family, church family, your family in particular, or just someone that's just a great community partner that you know in the community. So let's get out, let's make this happen. Let's someday see tons of white flowers, right, Darius?
Yes.
That's what we want.
I love that.
All right, we'll look forward to hanging out with you guys a few hours on Saturday.
Absolutely.
Now,
Thank you so much for this.
Absolutely. We'll be there doing some special things, plus our coverage. We're going to do a few radio breaks from there as well, encouraging you to still come out and support this earlier on the day on Saturday. And our coverage there is presented by Life Care Centers of America. We appreciate them and everything that they do. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Stay right here with us. We are Mix 104.1 WCLE.